In the streets of Tehran, crowds gather under watchful eyes. In the Persian Gulf, warships change position. Missile batteries remain silent. Fighter jets sit armed but unmoving, for now. But when internal unrest collides with external pressure, history shows us one thing. The situation can change, fast. Tonight, we examine a question shaping military briefings and intelligence assessments across the world. If unrest inside Iran grows, how ready is the United States to respond? This is not a prediction. This is a strategic analysis. The streets are restless. Iran has faced waves of unrest before. Economic pressure, sanctions, currency decline, inflation. But when protests spread across multiple cities at once, it signals more than frustration. It signals strain. From Tehran to Isfahan to Mashhad, gatherings grow larger. Armed security forces deploy in greater numbers. Internet restrictions tighten. Information becomes fragmented. Inside Iran, the government frames unrest as foreign interference. Outside Iran, analysts call it structural instability. Two narratives. One tension point. Political signals from Washington. Across the Atlantic, political messaging sharpens. Leaders in Washington reiterate concerns over missile development, regional proxy groups, maritime security, nuclear capability expansion. Public statements emphasize deterrence. Private briefings focus on readiness. The language shifts from diplomacy to contingency planning. No declaration of war, but unmistakable positioning. The military chessboard. Now, zoom out. Look at the map. The Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow artery where nearly 20% of global oil passes daily, or control that choke point. And you influence global markets. Positioned within operational distance, carrier strike groups, destroyers equipped with Aegis missile defense, submarines capable of launching cruise missiles, fifth-generation aircraft within range. The U.S. military posture in the region is not accidental. It is layered, redundant, strategic. Iran's deterrent capability. But Iran is not without leverage. Estimates suggest thousands of ballistic and cruise missiles. One-way attack drones capable of saturation. Coastal anti-ship batteries. Fast attack boats designed for swarm tactics. Iran's doctrine emphasizes asymmetry, not air superiority, disruption, cost imposition, delay. If attacked, Tehran has signaled it would respond beyond its borders. Regional U.S. bases. Energy infrastructure, shipping lanes. Smart deterrence cuts both ways. If escalation occurs. Important word, if. Military planners model scenarios, not intentions. A potential escalation would likely begin with electronic warfare, cyber disruption, precision strikes on command and control nodes, stealth aircraft targeting integrated air defenses. The goal would not be occupation, it would be degradation. Missile production facilities, launch capabilities, naval threat systems, air defense networks. Speed would be critical, surprise essential. The first 72 hours. In a hypothetical scenario, night skies illuminate with intercepts. Radar screens crowd with drone signatures. Missile defense systems activate in layers. Carrier groups maneuver. Electronic jamming floods contested airspace. Iran responds with ballistic missile launches toward regional bases, drone swarms targeting naval assets, maritime disruption attempts near Hormuz. Oil markets spike instantly. Insurance rates surge. Shipping companies pause routes. The battlefield expands into economics. Regional ripple effects. No regional conflict remains contained. Iraq becomes tense. Lebanon watches closely. Gulf states heighten defense postures. Israel increases alert levels. Proxy groups could activate. Cyber attacks escalate. Space-based assets become critical for communication and targeting. Modern conflict spans land, sea, air, cyberspace information. This would not resemble 20th century warfare. It would be multi-domain, simultaneous, global. The protest factor. Here's where internal unrest changes the equation. If protests intensify inside Iran during external pressure, the leadership faces dual strain: the internal legitimacy pressure, external military pressure. But history shows something important. External threats can sometimes unify populations or fracture them further. Predicting internal political collapse is notoriously unreliable. Military force can damage infrastructure. It cannot easily dictate political outcomes. Economic shockwaves. If the Strait of Hormuz becomes unstable, oil could spike dramatically. Emerging markets feel immediate impact. Fuel prices rise worldwide. Inflation increases. Global central banks respond. Even nations far from the Middle East feel the tremor. Energy security becomes national security. Again, best case. Scenario: limited engagement. Rapid degradation of missile threat. Shipping lanes secured. Regional escalation avoided. Diplomatic channels reopen. Oil markets stabilize. Short-term shock. Long-term recalibration. Worst case. Scenario: prolonged regional conflict. Proxy activation across multiple countries. Sustained oil disruption. Cyber retaliation on global infrastructure. Increased involvement from major powers. Global recession risk. Strategic instability lasting years. This is why military planners emphasize deterrence over action. Is the U.S. ready? In terms of capability, yes. Carrier groups provide mobile air bases. F-35s enable stealth penetration. Electronic warfare suppresses defenses. Missile defense systems provide layered protection. Satellite intelligence offers real-time tracking. But readiness is not the same as inevitability. Military capability exists to deter, to prevent escalation through strength. The presence of force is often intended to avoid its use, and the stronger the visible readiness, the higher the deterrence. But also, the higher the tension. This is the paradox of power projection. Too little presence invites risk. Too much presence increases friction. Balancing that line defines modern geopolitics. Right now, protests continue. Rhetoric sharpens, warships patrol, missiles remain in silos. Fighter jets sit on runways. The region stands in a state of armed pause. The real question is not, who would win? The real question is, can escalation be avoided? Because once conflict begins in a region this strategic, it rarely stays contained. Modern war reshapes markets, alliances, governments, energy flows, global stability. And sometimes, the unintended consequences outlast the conflict itself. Understanding military readiness is not about predicting war. It is about understanding leverage, understanding pressure, understanding how close the world sometimes moves toward the edge before stepping back. For now, the missiles remain silent, the carriers remain at sea, and the streets remain restless. History watches. Kindly subscribe for more updates as tension keep on rising in Tehran.